you're doing amazing. My name is Yvonne, also known as Yanga G. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I do not take your time and your energy and your attention for granted. While we're talking, why don't you just go ahead and like and subscribe before we get into it. It is definitely 1:38 a.m. in the morning where I am. And I'm recording this because I want to react to this before the Super Bowl, and I think it's an incredibly important interview. And I want to talk about it because there's so much that Kendrick discusses in this that I think is fascinating. And even though I've watched it before, I still have I've watched it, but I haven't watched it with you, right? So I have a lot that I want to share. And so let's just go ahead and dive in. This is Nadeska and Ebro for Apple Music, interviewing Kendrick Lamar. And like as I said, I already watched it. I haven't watched too many other people's reactions to this interview, even though I follow a lot of people like who have reacted to it. I haven't really watched a lot of reactions because I really have been wanting to think about what he said and reflect, and I wanted to make sure that I keep myself fresh so that I can react to this with y'all. So okay, let's just get into it.
We can talk about his world-shifting pen, his Pulitzer Prize-winning album, his 22 Grammys, or his seismic impact on music spanning more than a decade.
Seismic.
But nobody can speak for the man better than himself. Please welcome Kendrick Lamar.
Man at the Garden! Make some motherfucking noise, motherfucker! Make some motherfucking noise.
Good morning.
How you doing?
You know, Kendrick, it's a little bit surreal to actually see you in the flesh because you've always made it a point of just letting the music speak for yourself, which is something I really respect. But the spotlight has been shining so brightly on you for the past few months. I've just been wondering how you've been processing behind the scenes, how you've been feeling about everything happening, all the success.
It's just really just I want to look at it like it's just a continuum of who I am, really. I've always stayed to myself. I've always been in my own bubble, whether it's with the fam or whether it's training. How I process it all is just I continue to do what I was doing 10 years ago, and that's like be better in myself, better in the craft, and not look at it as bright lights, you know?
I wanted to talk about this because I feel like a lot of people kind of talk about this moment in Kendrick Lamar's career and this moment in a larger context in terms of hip hop as being really, really special, which, yeah, it's special. And I think Nadeska is coming from this place of, oh my God, like last year is like wild and this is amazing. Like, how have you been? You know what I'm saying? Because from the perspective of so many people, like, this is so new and fresh from Kendrick, and it's different, right, than what a lot of people are used to seeing in hip hop in general, and from Kendrick Lamar, right? I appreciate, and in thinking about that, I appreciate his answer and it surprised me because he's like, this is a continuum, this is what I've been doing, this is who I am. And I think that in that you can, as an artist, as anyone, whether you're an artist or not, think about what are you doing to set yourself up for the life that you dream of. So for us, it's like it seems like to a lot of people, it's like you see the blossoming flower, but you don't see the consistency of like how that flower was tended to, how light was shone, like sunshine was shining on it, and it was planted in a particular place so that it would get enough light. It was watered, it was cared for, there was fertilizer used. Like there's a consistency of input and work and training, right? As like Kendrick puts it, that has been ongoing for like over a decade. Like he's been doing the same thing, putting in the same kind of work for a long time. And we might not have seen we might not have perceived the depth of his talent or incredible breadth of his versatility as an artist. But he's like, people who know me know that, and I've been putting in this work for a long time, and this is a continuum of what I've been doing. And I just think that there's a lot to be said about that, because what people see of you and who you are and what you're putting in, like what work you're putting in, what energy you're putting in from day to day, those are different things. And other people reacting to you and being like, wow, 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 that's dope. At the same time, I don't really see him, like, even if you look at his Grammy speeches and stuff, like this man won 5 out of 5 Grammys, and he just came out and accepted with this kind of cool, chill vibe of not like this is just another day for me, because like he treats things like with a certain significance and respect that I think is really beautiful to see. I don't see it a lot in people these days, like, you know, celebrities, or even just everyday people who are not celebrities, just treating moments with a particular kind of reverence. I think so many of us are just not even present in the current moment. So I thought it was really interesting just for him to be like, this is what I do, this is who I am. And secondly, I love that he talked about training in relation to himself as an artist, because I just had this podcast episode, honey. Let me just actually look it up so I can like actually say what I want to say. But I just but the episode that I'm referring to right now is what if writers were considered hold on. What if writers were considered athletes? Would that change how you create art? I have a podcast episode on my podcast, Nigerian Dyke Realness, that's called that. I just dropped it on January 21st. And I was thinking about, like, people talk about writer's block, and sometimes I think the way that artists talk about themselves is like, I don't have any control. Either I'm inspired or I'm not. And I was in this podcast episode, the conversation that I was having is like, okay, like, what if you were considered an athlete as a writer, and like, you know, your writing was a sport? How would that change how you approach, you know, the creation of your work? And to me, as a performer, when when I am preparing for a show, whether it's like a run, like a theatrical run where it's like several nights of a show, or it's like one event, I train, right? And I use that language, and I have that conception of myself is I am training. My body is my instrument, and I need to make sure that my body is ready to perform, that my like that my breathing and my lungs are in optimal like working shape. Like, you need to have full use of your diaphragm, your lungs, like your breath needs to be, you need to be able to actually project and like have breath control and enunciate what you're saying, be engaging. Like, this takes work. Your body has to be able to perform, right? And so I train, you know, you exercise, you think about what you need to do to get your body ready, whether it's what you're eating, how you're, whatever you need to do. So I love that he uses the term training. I love that he talks about physically what later on, like, not to do any spoilers, but he does talk a little bit later on about this idea of training for his shows and performances and stuff. So I just really love that he does that, because it's like, being a performer, especially when your performance is, you take it seriously and you're not just using a backtrack. Like, it is physical. You do need to train. You do need to be ready. You do need to take care of yourself so that you can be healthy and take care of your body. Because if you don't train, and you're just constantly like hitting the stage without stretching, without training, without doing exercises, without preparing yourself for what your body's going to go through as a performer or for a tour or for whatever, it will wear on you. So I just really appreciated that he really takes performance seriously to the extent that he looks at it like, yeah, I gotta train, keep my body in a particular like level of optimum fitness to be able to deliver what I want to deliver performatively. Like, he takes his craft seriously, not just as a writer, but also as a performer. Like, I just love that and I appreciate that. And in this era where so many fucking people like are using backing tracks to perform, it's like, bro, I'm not gonna say you can't use a backing track, do what you want to do, but people are coming to see you perform. They want to experience this body of work, this song, this EP, this mixtape, this album, this double album, this triple album, whatever. They want to experience it live and in person. So why are you giving us a backing track that sounds like the exact fucking album, and you're not even hitting every word, you know? Like, so I appreciate the level of athleticism and professionalism that he brings to his work as an artist, not just literally the stories he's telling and what he's rapping and the cover art and all of, you know, everything, the visuals, but also literally physically how he's able to he takes it seriously, and I appreciate that, because being a performer, yeah, it's a physical activity and it is athletic, especially if you take it seriously. We're not even 2 minutes and I got so much to say. I just love him so much. He's so brilliant.
And it may sound cliche, but it always worked for me, even when I was younger. Lights, you know? And it may sound cliche, myself better in the craft and not look at it as bright lights, you know? And it may sound cliche, but it always worked for me, even when I was younger, you know, playing sports or being in the forefront of presentations and stuff like that. It was like, I gotta look at myself in the mirror rather than looking at it as a crowd or, you know, fame and attention.
Thinking about the importance of having a center in yourself when you're thinking of, when you're as a performer, as a creator, who are you creating for? Are you creating for the approval of others, or are you creating for yourself? Because if you're looking at the lights and you're looking at other people approving of you, that can change in any minute. People can like what you did in one album and not like what you did in the next album. And if your basis on what makes a good album from you is whether the critics or the streets or whoever, or even your peers like it, you're always going to be in a state of like, I don't know, flux or at the whim of other people's opinions. But if what makes your work good is really about you, really about what you care about, really about your values, really about whatever messages you want to share and deliver, then you have more. I feel like that's more stable and more healthy, right? Because as an artist, people are gonna, you could put out beautiful work and people will say it's horrible. You could put out shitty work and people say it's the best shit ever. So you really have to have a different standard other than other people's opinions, because those opinions are really flippant. They're as fair weather as the fucking it's just like, opinions are like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like they come and they go. They're like, you know that term fair weather friend, which means like someone who's not reliable. That's how people's opinions are. They can love you today and hate you tomorrow. So your sense of what makes good art should really come from you, not other people's opinions, especially if you want to maintain your integrity.
So now, early days of your career,
Insanity.
you know, Section 80 days, even early mixtapes, and you perfecting your craft as an MC. Did you ever think we'd be at the Super Bowl with this?
I wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl.
You never thought about the Super Bowl with this?
I wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl for sure. We was thinking about the best verse and how we gonna split this $5 at Church's Chicken or something like that. It wasn't no Super Bowl. Going to the studio and getting a meal. But
the $5 at Church's Chicken, real shit. Real shit. You used to be able to get a real meal for $5, honey. Ciao.
I think, well, what I know is the passion I have now is still the passion I had then. And I think that carried on to the Super Bowl. So it was all about being present. As long as I was present in the studio and present in whatever that line was or whatever that mistake was, rapping or doing hooks or choruses or whatnot, I was present in that moment. I felt that passion. I think being present and not actually foreseeing everything kept me in a grounded state of mind in order to be at, big stages like this.
Being in the moment and not trying to foresee everything. I really want to hear that shit.
Passion. I think being present and not actually foreseeing everything kept me in a grounded state of mind in order to be at, big stages like this.
So what you're saying is that not hyper focusing or hyper fixating on the future allowed you to be present enough to actually create the future you wanted. This nigga just be casually dropping the most deep shit. And I know it might seem like, oh, that's obvious. No, it's not. That is not fucking obvious. It is not obvious. And that's a really brilliant sentiment. Like, sometimes you focus so much on what you want to do and what you're creating and what you're dreaming of that you even miss the current moment. You don't even fully appreciate that you used to pray for what you have right now because you're focused on the next thing. He's saying, he's like dropping, like what's interesting to me is that Kendrick is constantly dropping cheat codes. If you listen to his music, like, this is one song where he's giving you fucking advice. It's on GNX, where he's dead ass talking about this is what I did. If you want, fuck, bro, what is the name of that song? This is a song on GNX where he's like basically giving motherfucking advice, and he's like, this is how I did it. If you want to do it, this is what I suggest you do. It might be Whacked Out Murals or Man at the Garden. I'm not sure. But I just appreciate that he's always giving you it, like, not like I'm giving you advice in a condescending way, but he's always like putting you on, like hipping you to fucking game. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? This is just some free fucking game. This is how I did it. I feel like he's really transparent about his process. Like, he doesn't do interviews very often, but I feel like when he does, and even in his music, he like tells you how he did what he did, and I think that is so community based, so village minded, so like a gift to humanity. Any artist, any person who's doing something beautiful in their life and they're like, yo, this is how I did it, there's something so pure about that. There's something so pure about someone like just giving you just straight up, this is how I did it. Like how I got here was being present in the moment, every moment, and not focusing on the future. Like, he's letting you know. He's like, he really cares. So, how can I put this into English? It's like that's real deep love of community. You just like, you're opening the book and be like, yo, this is how I did it. Like, this is the how to. Because I know you have dreams that you want to accomplish. You're an artist, you're a community member. So I'm just letting you know how I did it in case that helps you on your journey. Like, this is like artistic community organizing, and also artistic / community organizing. That's what you do when you care about succession. That's what you do when you don't want to be the only one. I'm not saying that Kendrick doesn't feel like, yo, I'm like, he said I'm the king of New York. He said ain't no big three, big me. I'm not acting like he's somebody who doesn't have that feeling of, yo, I'm the realest, I'm the dopest. Like, he has that cockiness and that confidence and that belief in self. I think is necessary to be an artist and to be a rapper, especially that is based in like loving yourself and braggadocio. That's so much a part of hip hop. At the same time, you being willing to say, this is how I do it. It's like a visual artist, like a freaking genius being like, yo, this is how I draw fingers. This is how I draw limbs. This is how I draw faces. Like, and giving you little sketches of like the step-by-step process. Like, when an artist takes the time to give you any kind of this is how I did it, like they give you cheat codes and shit, that's love. That's love. you've got to recognize that as love. Because a lot of artists, they don't give a fuck to share their process with you or to help you. I feel as if Kendrick is always thinking about succession. He's thinking about the future and the community. He's thinking about other people have dreams. He's thinking about other people are working through this and processing through these emotions. Let me share with you my process. Let me share with you what I did. I think that's what Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers is about. This is my, and I haven't done a deep dive into this album, right? So please, I'm just talking in general from the songs that I've heard. But he's really opening up and being like, yo, this is how I've done my healing. This is what I'm working on. And I think as an artist, him to say, I just love this so much. Like, they feel like the path as an artist is so like, you have got to make the road by walking. And so for anyone to be like, yo, here's a little bit of my process, this is what you might want to consider if you are working on this, like, that's love, you know. And we need more of that. We need really, because that's like low key, like an informal teaching, like his work, like some of his songs, some of those verses are really like, it's just like a sonic teaching, you know what I'm saying? He's just sitting there giving you a skill share. It's like, yo, here's some steps of what I use, hope it helps you. That's love. That's love. He cares about other people's art and other people's progress. Like, I just really appreciate that about him.
I think we felt that presence and that focus in your work for the past 15 years. Like Ebro said, going all the way back to projects like Overly Dedicated. And so seeing you perform with Dr. Dre at the halftime show 3 years ago, we already felt like that was the most hip hop, beautiful halftime show ever. And now for you to come back and be the first solo hip hop artist to headline, how does it feel being the artist to hit that milestone? And, you know, just your thoughts on what that means about hip hop's progression and impact over the years.
But that shit, it made me think about like the grind of it. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't see like the story before the glory.
The story
man.
before
That
the
shit's
glory. This is my quote, honey. The story before the glory, honey. Yes. Come on.
And an impact over the years.
But that shit, it made me think about like the grind of it. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't see like the story before the glory, man. And that shit's like shuffling out your mixtapes and, you know, going to neighborhoods and parties and performing there, hole in the wall spots. It reminds me of the essence and the core response of rap and hip hop and how far it can go. So for me, that should mean everything because it puts the culture on the forefront where it needs to be and not minimized to just a catchy song or verse. This is a true art form. So to represent it on this type of stage is like everything that I've worked for and everything that I believe in as far as the culture. Like, I live and die by it. This shit done changed my whole family life, so I don't take it for granted at all as far as the art form, you know?
It feels like that was a lot what this year was about too, right?
Yeah, hip hop is an art form. It's an art form. It's not just something you get jiggy with or get jiggy to. It's an art form. It's an art form with tenets, with history, with legends, with a past, present, and future. It's a complex cultural, like, Black art form. It is art to be able to fucking tell a story on a beat, to make people laugh, to have like story arcs and drama, and to make jokes, to be able to communicate in such a way. Like, hip hop, rap is an absolutely, utterly incredible, brilliant art form. And because it's become so commercial and because it's created by Black people, like, the way that it's been denigrated and dismissed, and it's just like, I don't even know how to put into language the way that the general population looks at hip hop, looks at rap. But it is an art form. Okay? It is an art form to be able to articulate yourself to a fucking beat within a bar fucking structure. It is bananas to be able to drop a beat and like an MC will in that moment freestyle for you out of their head something that makes sense. Like, If this was created by any other group of people, the level of fascination and respect for that art form would be through the roof. It would be through the sky. It is unbelievable that you can drop a beat and ask like and your typical MC, right? Not everybody freestyles, child, but most MCs can freestyle, even if their freestyles are basic. And then you have MCs that'll freestyle a freestyle so fucking dope, it's as complicated, beautiful, and amazing and put together as a fucking song that somebody was working on for fucking 6, 7 months in a studio. That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. That is magical, right? And I appreciate the respect that Kendrick has for hip hop as an art form and rap as an art form.
You, I guess, you took it and put it on your back and you felt like a line needed to be drawn, right? Getting put it on your about what this year was about too, right? Like I guess, you took it and put it on your back and you felt like a line needed to be drawn, right? Was that, was that your intent when you rolled out this year? Was like, yo, I'm drawing a line. Like, this is what it is.
My intent was to always keep, I think from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport. I don't care how motherfuckers look at it as far as like,
It's giving Screwface Gene. It's giving Screwface Gene. I mean, when I heard this, I was like, Screwface. But yeah, I love that. I love that phrase, hip hop is a sport. And I think that between hip hop is a sport and hip hop is an art form, like those two simple statements are really, really critical and crucial in terms of understanding hip hop and respecting hip hop. Like, yeah.
as a collaborative effort, that's cool too. But as care how motherfuckers look at it as far as like, as a collaborative effort, that's cool too. But I love when artists grit their teeth. Like I still watch battle raps. I still watch Smack URL from Murder Mook to Lux to Tay Rock. My bro Daylight. This has always been the core definition of who I am, and it's been that way since day one. So I don't think it was a thing for this year. It was always just a continue.
That makes sense. He really approached all the songs he released last year as a battle rapper. He approached it like a battle rapper. And I feel like that's really interesting, right? Because that's like battle rap is a whole other level. I'm not really big into like I haven't. I'm not somebody that can say that I have extensively watched battle rap, but what I can tell from what I have watched and observed is like it's war. People will be saying shit you never think that they would say, you know? And it's in the moment, right? Like live, back to back, just like battling somebody live, like with your words is intense. So that kind of deeply competitive, like energy where you're ready to go to war and like your weapons are words, like that's very, very clear. Like him saying that he still watches battle raps. Like, yeah, looking back at the music that he released last year specifically, that's very clear. And I feel like that's about training too. Training is about staying engaged in your art form on multiple levels. Like I think some people get famous or they really reach a certain level of commercial success and they don't stay engaged really with what's really happened, like the pulse of the streets. And I think that if you're watching from my perspective, right, like battle rap is like it's real gritty. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the polished shit you're gonna see on whatever network, right? So you're gonna get to that heartbeat, that heart of what it is hip hop is. So staying in tune with that, I think it shows a lot in his style, that he's chosen to stay so in touch with the underground, so to speak, or like the foundations and like that raw current shit.
And what I will say about this year, it was more from a space where I think a lot of people was putting rap to the back, and you didn't see that. You didn't see that grit. You didn't see that bite anymore. So I always took that in consideration in going into any type of my music.
That's interesting. So I hope this makes sense, right? You know, we've been following your journey for about 15 years, and you have been so consistent in the messaging and the focus, like you said. And you've always moved with integrity. So in a lot of ways, I feel like we thought we knew exactly who you were as an artist in a positive way. And then last year, it felt like you unlocked a whole new dimension for us. But that person, like you said, was always in there. But I'm wondering, do you still surprise yourself sometimes? Did you surprise yourself last year, or was it just us, the fans, with our jaws on the floor, just stunned?
That's a good question. Surprised myself? Nah, I don't think I surprised myself because this, for me and for my partners that's been around me since 2005, 2006, like my brothers, they know my personality. They know my capabilities, even when it, wasn't presented to the public at first, right? So
I think this is such an interesting question because I'm not quite sure that most of the time when he answers questions, he don't really be saying what I think he's gonna say. Like he just always says something that makes me think. Or maybe he'll say something that I thought he was gonna say, but he adds something in there that I'm like, oh wow, that makes me think. He's like, no, I wasn't surprised. I knew I was that man. I knew I was that nigga. I knew I was the shit. I always knew I was, the one, the illest, the tightest, the dopest, like the flyest. Like, I know it. My fam knows it. My friends know it. Like, that's a beautiful answer. It's like the most humblest, confident response. Were you surprised by your brilliance and the way that your music has taken the world by storm? And on an even deeper level, no. I always knew I was that nigga. Glad that you're catching up. Glad that the rest of the world is catching up. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. That's such like a subtle, humble way to say, bitch, you late. I've been that guy.
this is just like a revolving door of what I've been doing in Carson Studios, at the homie garage, or my brothers at TDE, or just anybody around the city of Compton in LA. It's just magnified to the level where I've progressed it and did enough hours to know, okay, I know where to place it now. I know how to make it connect with people.
It feels like each album, too, getting to this point was like, it was an album for the culture, and it was an album for the critics. You know what I mean? And then it was for the critics,
Yeah.
and then GNX comes along, and it's like, nah. This is an album for anybody, everybody, and anybody who want it at any time. And you brought that energy, and the energy you brought on GNX was an energy that I don't think was really happening in hip hop. Like, it's a Public Enemy level energy. It's a Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted energy.
For sure.
Like, it's a classic, timeless energy. Talk about your headspace between Mr. Morale and this GNX.
Yeah, no, that's great. Go back even further, man. Speaking on that energy, like it's my cousins was like DJ Quick, and Dre, these folks that my people was playing. So I always had that DNA. And you heard that DNA a little bit on Good Kid, Mad City, but I wanted to tell my story first, right? And fast forward to GNX, I felt it was just a perfect time because not only the energy was lost, but it was the energy that was bubbling inside of me as well. I wanted to go back to the forefront of just the bite and just the grit of rap, just all raps and hard-ass beats. And that's like the basics for me. I thought about, damn, what I used to like when I was a kid. Hard raps, good beats, that's smacking, right? And it was a great transition from Mr. Morale because that was my most...
I like the way he always says morale that way. Morale. What was I gonna say? I just like the way he says morale. I think it's interesting what he said. Predictable, I can even predict your angles, something because of Mr. Morale. What song was that? That was I think that was Euphoria, because he started off slow and then he like just fucking went off. I think it was Euphoria. So I just like the way he says morale. Anyway, in Euphoria and here, but
Um, it was a great transition from Mr. Morale because that was my most intimate. I wanted to go inside of my own psyche and my own beats that's smacking, right?
I like how he talked here about, as an artist, like what did I used to like as a kid? Because I think that sometimes you can get so caught up in what's next, and you want to be innovative and you want to keep ascending and deepening your work, right? You want to expand what you do. You want to grow, right, as an artist. And I think it's an interesting thing to just be like, for him to say, yo, what did I used to like? Like, what did I used to like? Like, what is, at the beginning of my love of hip hop, at the beginning of my love of this art form, what really inspired me? What did I really love? And I think that that's something that anybody as an artist can think about if you ever get like, you don't know where to go, you don't know your direction. It's a great idea to just be like, what did I used to like? You know what I mean? What got me excited in the first place? I think that's a really, I don't know if I would call it a cheat code, but it's just something to put in the back of your mind. Like, remember your why. Remember why you started. Remember what you love. Oh, my light just went off. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, shit. Hold on, sorry. Nigga. Hold on. Okay. I was like, what was it why did that light? Anyway, okay, my light is back.
It was a great transition from Mr. Morale because that was my most intimate. I wanted to go inside of my own psyche and my own personal withdrawals and see how it connects with the public and who can relate. So during this time around, I think it was necessary of coming out of that cocoon and feeling like, okay, I arrived now. I can spread my wings and show every state of who I am as far as Kendrick Lamar.
And you really did spread your wings. I mean, you just came off a huge
Okay.
of the year, which in itself is remarkable. A huge Grammy win.
As far as Kendrick Lamar.
And you really did spread your wings. I mean, you just came off a huge Grammy wins. You walked away with 5 awards, and you won Not Like Us won for Song and Record of the Year, which in itself is remarkable. But I think for people who love and respect hip hop and the roots of this culture, the competitive spirit of it, it has been a little bit mind-bending that you created this massive cultural award-winning anthem out of a battle rap song. And how is that something, after you got off that Grammy stage, you got home in some quiet time, what was going through your head?
I was just thinking about the culture, really. It's always that for me first. I'm not even bullshitting with you. It's like, when people talk about rap, man, the conversations I hear, they think it's just rap and it's not an actual art form. So when you put records like that at the forefront, it reminds people that this 50 years ago, they forget that it's even been here 50 years, right? And like kind of like belittle it. So I love to see that it gets that type of recognition for just straight raps, from awards to the billboards, all that, because this is truly just as big as an art form and a genre as any other genre. So that's what I think about, and I feel accomplished being able to do that. You know, whether somebody else come behind me and do it again and quadruple it, I love to see it. If that was my purpose to do that, then that's exactly what it was for that particular moment.
This is like one of my favorite parts of the whole fucking interview. This man just said, if somebody comes behind me and breaks my record and quadruples my record, if that was my purpose, I'm happy with that. I'm trying to find, for my country, when they talk, they say, I beg, borrow me English. I'm trying to find the English. that I will use to explain how beautiful that is. How beautiful that is to say, yes, I broke records and I'm happy to break records. I love that we're able to do this like within hip hop. And if somebody comes after me and breaks that record, I'm happy because that was my purpose. This man keeps talking about a continuum and he's not bullshitting. He's talking about a continuum because when you see yourself as part of a culture, you don't see your accomplishments as just yours. You see the accomplishments as actually about the culture from which you come from. And from his perspective, you see his response to NADESKA is like, yo, what were you thinking after those Grammy wins? After those Grammy wins, he said, I was thinking about the culture. I'm not even bullshitting you. He's thinking about himself as a part of a continuum. His ego is not in it. I'm not saying he ain't got ego. I'm just saying that the way that he conceives of his career tends to be about the impact rather than it's about me. When you care about the continuum and the continuation and the succession, like you care about the ongoing, like the future of hip hop, yeah, you're happy for somebody else to come along and have success like you had success because you care about the continuum. If it's just about your ego and all you care about is your success and your numbers and your records. So I think that it's incredible for him to be at this stage in his career, this level of success, and be able to say so quick, if someone comes and breaks my record, beautiful. Like, I just feel like that's such a beautiful, 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 beautiful sentiment, and it speaks to his soul. It speaks to something deeper. It's very, very beautiful.
I think people often miss the significance of that Record and Song of the Year award, because that Song of the Year award is a songwriter's award. Like, it's not just the biggest song. It's like someone wrote a song. And you as a songwriter, when you see your name up there and it's written by Kendrick, and that's it. Yeah, that's powerful. And I think to what you're saying, I think there's a lot of people who have become fans of hip hop, and they you know, you like the songs you hear and know, but you're not actually tapped into the work that it takes to generate the output, the art.
Exactly, man. As a writer, you know, and that's what I can appreciate the most. And knowing how much time I dedicated over the years in just trial and error, writing the most terrible shit to some of the greatest shit. You know, we all do it, from writer's block to figuring out how to find inspiration from the most non-popular aspects around me. So it's like, knowing that trial and knowing what I put in as far as my thinking process and what it takes to get there, I do not look at it as a small, like, endeavor because it's a hit record. No, it's actually some writing in that shit. You know, whether it connect with you on a spiritual level, whether it connect with you on a comedic level, whether it connect with you just on a personal dynamic, it's still from a writer's point of view.
Yeah, you are.
Listen. I don't even know how I'm gonna say this shit as a writer. Okay? As a writer. You know what I love about him is that he identifies and articulates himself so clearly as a writer, as an artist, hip hop as an art form and a sport. I had to look up the difference between Song of the Year and Record of the Year because I'm like, what's the difference, you know? So yeah, the Song of the Year is about it's about the lyrics. It's about you wrote something beautiful, and the Record of the Year is really the entire thing. You know, it's like the production. It's everything, right? So I'm trying, like, to be acknowledged as a writer, right, is important. I think for him, it's from how he answered it, it just seems like he definitely takes pride in, like, yeah, I wrote this and I won an award for my writing. He values that because he values being a writer. Because I just love that, because so much of the time in hip hop these days, let's say popular hip hop, right? Not all hip hop, or popular rap, right? I don't really see a lot of people talking about like focusing on, I am a writer, I am an MC, I am a writer. It's like, do you value your raps? Do you value your skills as a writer? Do you care about telling stories? Do you care about being able to engage people? Do you care about that? Or do you just want to make a fucking hit record that's gonna motherfucking trend on TikTok? And I feel like he cares about, this is what I wrote. I've put in the time and the energy to write this well. And I wrote something with my whole soul. And I'm proud to get an award for that. I think that's beautiful, because that just shows that he values the art form, and he values when the art form of hip hop is recognized, right? Whether for his writing, the song, the production,
Dynamic. It's still from a writer's point of view.
Yeah, you are an incredible writer. There are songs on GNX like Reincarnated. I didn't know what to do with that song for the first few times I heard of it, just trying to figure out where you possibly came up with the inspiration for a record like that. Like, when you're working on those songs, are you going through multiple versions until the right thing comes to you? It's hard to fathom, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, records like that, first off, shout out to Tupac. That's the number one inspiration. That was always one of my favorite records from him and Outlaws. With records like that, it's always going into my mind of like, what if, right? And crafting out my what if ideas to the masses. So when I think about concepts and I think about what I actually believe and what I feel, I just go through a breakdown as if I'm reading a book, and how I want people to hear this from a book sequence. So my initial process is, okay, how can I open them up to the story? And how can I drive them to the ending point to make them feel truly exactly what I'm trying to convey, whether they take their own perspective from it or they take mine. I just want you to feel it first. The writing is there. Now it's up to me to perform it to where you can feel it.
I think he's talking about performance, not just as a literal performance, but performance as like the recording of it on the album, right? He's looking at that as a performance. I mean, I just think that that's so interesting. That's how. I don't know why I just think that that's interesting, right? Because he's known for his performances, right? But here, the way he talked about it, he's talking about the writing and the performance. It seems like he's talking about the writing and the recording of it, right? He's like, the writing is there, now it's just for me to perform it. Like, but he's not talking about a literal a performance on a stage. I think he's talking about like, the writing is there, now it's time for me to like record it in such a way that the performance of it on that recording, it hits the mark, right? And I think that him really looking at himself as a storyteller, as a writer, as somebody who really wants to move you emotionally, like, those intentions are very clear. And I think that that's fascinating to me, right? Because a lot of people have a lot of intentions about their art, but it may or may not come across. Kendrick as an amazing storyteller, Kendrick as an amazing writer, Kendrick is somebody that makes you feel something and really takes you on a journey throughout his songs and definitely throughout his albums. That's clear that that's his intention, right? And I can see that in his work reflected, and that's a beautiful thing to see that what we enjoy from his work isn't just random, it's clear. And I think that's something to learn as an artist. Like, you want to have a particular result. You want to tell good stories, put that work in, practice, write and write and write and write and write. Have an intention of what you want the result to be and work to make it happen. I wonder how many drafts he goes through when he's writing. That would be so fascinating to me.
Yo, give it up for this guy, Kendrick Lamar.
First, the writing is there. Now it's up to me to perform it to where you can feel it.
Yo, give it up for this guy, Kendrick Lamar.
Even there,
Y'all
like,
quiet, man.
Even they're like, what the
This
fuck?
guy,
This
you know,
is
this
brilliant.
guy he doesn't sit down and do this too often. So this is a very special conversation. We appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
I really do. And shout to SZA too, because you guys are making history right now.
Hell
and,
yeah.
and you've seen her from her humble beginnings like she's seen you from your humble beginnings. You've watched her find success, and now y'all sharing the stage at the Super Bowl. This humongous tour that's rolling out next year. Talk about this moment in both of y'all's career. Have you guys had a chance to even see each other in this moment and be like, yo, like?
We haven't even had a chance to crash out about it because everything been moving fast, like far as production and rehearsals and stuff. So we speak, but we haven't really got a chance to settle into the moment. For me personally, watching her, her career and where she's come from, it's amazing to see. I get to finally see how certain individuals see me come up in the process because I seen her day one coming in the studio and writing songs, throwing away songs, writing another song, throwing away songs, and songs is hard. And I understood that process though, wanting to be great. Even when we, people saying this is classic records, you're like, no, I'm gonna write another one. And I understood that and I seen it. So to see it now magnified is like, she always had it, man. She always had it. And I'm just honored to be next to a talent.
Yeah, you've both worked really hard to be here in this moment. And on Heart Part 6 is really amazing to hear you detail that journey for old and new fans, coming up through the ranks at TDE and now launching your own agency, PG Lang. So performing at the Super Bowl halftime show is very much, us as fans getting to celebrate you and this beautiful musical legacy, but also now you're stepping out as an entrepreneur. What has it been like to build your own business and to also showcase some of that creativity from your agency on this platform?
Oh man, I love the process. Shout out to PG Lane. Make some noise with PG Lane. Yeah, that's my team, man. It's 30 incredible individuals, 5 extraordinary executives that work day in, day out to make sure we are doing something that will long live the culture. From a music standpoint, from a creative standpoint, fashion, film, books, day in, day out of just being around like-minded individuals that have different perspectives outside of just music. So through that process, it was a challenge for me, but even more a process of me enjoying, different ideas and different backgrounds and how to look at things. I love it. Being on calls and, formulating business ideas and ventures outside of my usual norm, it challenges me. And I can't wait to see what happens next. I know it's going to happen next. Yeah.
I know it's gonna happen next, nigga. I think it's interesting that she called it an agency, which means I'm curious as to the structure of the organization, like PG Lang, because I thought it was like his record label, because he has a UMG distribution deal, not a record deal, right? He's independent, I believe, but I feel like he also has a deal with Interscope. He has a lot of artistic control and creative control. I think he pretty much has all creative and artistic control. I'm trying to think, because PG Lang, I thought it was a record company, right? But I feel like the way that he's talking about it now, it feels more like almost like an umbrella. I don't want to say umbrella organization, but like, let's say a multi-prong, like they have a faceted approach. Like they do a lot of different things, right? So I kind of want to, I'm going to go find their website. I'm curious as to what their mission statement says, right? I'm curious because it's not just music that they're doing, like it's really interesting. PG Lang is really interesting. Like, I want to learn more about it.
I think for the audience too, and anybody watching around the world, the PG Lang thing is, I think people see you as an artist and someone who makes music, but I don't know if you want to share it today, but the level of detail that you yourself, along with Dave and shout to the whole PG Lang team, but y'all as friends that came up together, you in the edits. Like what we're going to see on Sunday is a PG Lang production.
Yes, that's all PG Lang. That is us sitting day in, day out, from the edits, the production, the stage design, the music, the sound tech. It's everything across the board, and it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of creative individuals. I can't sit here and say it's all me, because these are people that are just as passionate and want to see us win, but also want to put out something that lives a long, long time. And with with Dave's creative mind, it's just he's insane, man. That dude is like Basquiat in so many different fashions. You know, you can clearly pick his brain about anything, and he'll give you an answer right down the middle to help you decide for yourself. So that's something I can always appreciate.
Yeah, I'd say with all of your powers combined, y'all are really diabolical. Like, when you roll out the videos, all the visuals for GNX, just the way you all move strategically together, it is inspiring beyond the music. You know, just thinking about how to approach life and art in a holistic way. And so when it came down to planning for this Super Bowl now, you know,
I just want to say this before I forget. Like, this rollout for this entire performance has been bananas. I'm not even just honestly 2024 to 2025 Kendrick Lamar. The way everything is rolled out has been wild to me, right? Of course, like all of the songs, like, you know, from Like That to Not Like Us, you know, April, right, through May 2024. But then also when you think about GNX, right, you think about the Super Bowl promo where it was announced that Kendrick Lamar is going to be the halftime Super Bowl performer. That was in September. You look at GNX, that dropping, the video that went along with it, the intro video that went along with it. Then you look at like the announcement of the tour with SZA, and you look at and the visuals for that. You look at the video with him and SZA, where SZA's pouring Gatorade on him, which is announcing her as like a special guest as a part of the Super Bowl performance. Like, and then you look at like the rollout for the Super Bowl performance, right? Which is, I mean, the continuation of the rollout, meaning like the like this interview, right? Interview with Timely. Please forgive me. Timothy Chalamet, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, right? That was all in black and white. I think that Kendrick was driving a GNX, like, and that promo was split up into 2 days. Like, I think there was like a 30-second promo that Apple Music dropped, and then like a 3-minute or so remainder of the interview that PG Lang dropped. Like, you see like the visuals, the setup, the building of the anticipation. Like, it's just beautiful. Like, I just the level of intention, the attention to detail, the just like, and it's consistent, building energy, building anticipation and excitement. Like, how often do we see artists really give us this? Like, really roll that shit the fuck out and build and build and build the energy, right? It's like so well done and so beautiful. And I'm gonna be real with you. I think that this Super Bowl is going to be the most attended, the most viewed Super Bowl of all time. I really think that this Super Bowl is going to be the most viewed Super Bowl of all time, the highest ratings of all time. I think it's going to break fucking records. This level, I've never seen this level of promo for a Super Bowl performance. Maybe I wasn't paying as close attention in the past years, because I'm not really a American football person. I do like the Super Bowl halftime performance, though. That's when you'll see me all of a sudden. I'm like, who am I rooting for? Well, I'm rooting for the performer, the halftime performer. So I really like that, and I think that this Super Bowl is gonna break records. I really think it's gonna shock people. I think they say like typically 100 million viewers worldwide for the Super Bowl. I think he's gonna drop an album too, bitch. If he drops like a deluxe GNX album the same night as he drops as he has that Super Bowl performance, bitch, this internet, I'm not sure it can contain everybody. I don't know.
The album coming up, just thinking about how to approach life and art in a holistic way. And so when it came down to planning for this Super Bowl now, you know, you've teased on the album coming up to New Orleans with this LA energy. How did you guys approach the show and trying to figure out how to pay tribute to the classics in your catalog with this new music in like a 13-minute set list?
Yeah, it's wild. We come, Mr. Morale is like an hour and 30-minute tour, so it's like you gotta smack the shit down all the way to 13 minutes. It's kind of wild, and it's interesting because it lets you know kind of where you at and your perspective on how you think about catalog and the music.
I thought that was interesting. I never thought about that before. Thinking about having a huge, an album, right? And you're touring with it, and how you're going to, like, what you're going to choose, like what you're going to, if you need to shorten, like you want to present like an album, or you want to perform for an album, but you're going to pick and choose what you want to perform, right? And what you pick and choose is going to say like where you are emotionally or what you're interested in artistically. I never thought about it quite in that way. I just think that's really interesting. I think that's indicative of him being really deeply in conversation with his work, not just new work, but when he's performing old work, like, looking at it like, where am I now, and what do I want to perform based on where I am now. It's like really interesting that he mentioned that.
For me, I love being present. I love being present, man. It's my favorite. It's very hard for me to live in the past. Very.
Lucky you. Lucky you. It's very hard for it. Please teach us your ways. It's very hard for you to live in the past. Please speak more about this. We need to learn from this.
I respect the past wholeheartedly, but being in the now and being just locked into how I feel and the energy I have now, that's the LA energy for me. That's something that I want to carry over to New Orleans and for the world to see. This is me, this is Kendrick Lamar, 37 years old, and I still feel like I'm elevating. I'm still on the journey though, And I want that energy to, ooze out into the televisions and to the people that's in that building.
Well, and on that, the connection between Black culture and New Orleans, and how important and shaping our ancestors were in this town, music, jazz, all that. You always put our culture and Black culture at the forefront of your brand, your music. Same thing in LA. A lot of our family members moved out to California from the South for new opportunities.
Man, what?
So there's a big connection between LA and the South. So when you say you walked in to New Orleans with that LA etiquette and all of that, I don't know if people really grasp that, but you got to be feeling that energy.
That's a bar.
Like when you are out ready on Sunday to do your thing.
That's a bar. It's crazy, bro. Out of all my friends, LA, us growing up, all our grandparents either from Louisiana, Texas, Chicago, like, period. So our dialect and how we talk, it gauges from, like, the South and, like, the Bay Area. So, like, going to the store, we say finna. I'm finna go to the store. Like, that's some South shit, you know what I'm saying? That's not no LA, right? So that energy right there, and
I love when people talk about speech, vernacular, and how you can see migration patterns and history through speech. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell, like, if you look at, let's say, different parts of just basically what he's saying, like the way that people talk from one region is not just about that region. It's about who migrated there, where they migrated from, what they meant, what they met when they migrated to that new place. Like, how you speak isn't just where you currently are. It's also where your parents came from. It's where they migrated from, or where your grandparents or great-grandparents migrated from. It's about where everybody in that community is from, because you all are going to be sharing vernacular. And I just think that you can tell that he's somebody who's a student of history and a student of language, because he's able to articulate like the vernacular of himself, his community, not only articulate it, right, but to see how it's tied to like history, how it's tied to migration, and also see the connectivity of like Blackness from region to region. Like, this is deep. This is like some kind of like black linguistics, black migration, like course right here. This is the type of shit that they don't even fucking always fucking make these connections in college courses or books about this shit, like talking about vernacular and how we speak and how that tells you, like, you can see the history in someone and their culture by how they speak, how their parents speak, how people in their hood speak, how people in their community speak. You can see where they came from or where their grandparents, great grandparents came from based on how we speak. And I just think that is so beautiful. It's so interesting to me how people talk. I'm fascinated by languages. And I just love that he articulated this so beautifully with such an example that anybody can relate to. Everybody knows that people from the South, black people from the South, say fitna, like finna, you know what I'm saying? So like for him to, I just love his mind, bro, and I love when people make these kinds of connections and then share them with others so that they can like be a part of that thinking as well.
Making that correlation, it means a lot to me for people to understand that. And the culture and just being
It
black.
kind of reminds me of that third verse. Is it the third verse or the last verse of Not Like Us, where he's talking about Atlanta and the history of Atlanta, right? He values history. He values like telling stories and like bringing history into it. It's not just this is a dope song. It's not just like this is our slang. It's this is the history behind the slang. It's not just we love Atlanta music, we love Atlanta hip hop, right? It's this is the history. This is some of the history of Atlanta and how it relates to where we are right now. Like, he's a student of history. He's a student of history, and he's a student. I feel like he's still studying. That's why he was talking earlier about like I still listen to battle raps. I listen to Daylight. I listen to these people, right? Like, he's a student, and I think that's a part of what being a brilliant artist is: remaining a student, always like remaining humble enough to learn. Do you know what I mean? Remaining humble enough to see that, to like learn about new connections and to share them and to just be thinking and thinking and thinking and processing those things in a way that's not just, oh, I know everything already. It's like, it just feels like he's constantly learning and constantly evolving, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I can't help that, man. It's just not something that I think about or even try to like go. I'm black. Shit, it's just go. It's
in you. It's not on you.
Yeah, it's gonna come out every time. I can't sugarcoat it. You know, I can't downplay it. I'm at a point in my life I can't necessarily fake the funk for nothing. And
Real.
I've always had an essence of that. But
Real.
you know, you have kids and shit. That shit's like, I have to be who I am authentically. And if you know the world can't accept that, then so be it. But who rocking with it? I'm gonna put it all the way out there, you know, whether it's in private or whether it's on the main stage.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people and a lot of artists stand in themselves as authentically as you have. And I think one of the questions we've all been wrestling with over the past few months, watching you and the way you've moved, is really what is the role of an artist? And I think lots of people have very different definitions, but young Kendrick, again, back to overly dedicated and Section 80 mixtape Kendrick, and GNX Kendrick, Super Bowl Grammys Kendrick, has your idea of what the role of an artist is, you as an artist, has that ever changed?
I don't think I knew exactly what my role was early on. I had maybe clues of it, but now today I can truly say it's to express myself and express things that people can necessarily say on the daily and for them to actually relate to. And come from the most vulnerable place where people can actually feel it. I think that is, for me, that's the role for me as an artist. I don't give a fuck what place it come from. I could be the most angry person on the record. You go feel that shit that day if you woke up and you felt that. You want to smile, you gonna feel it, because I'm gonna make sure I'm present that particular time in the studio, in the booth, that I feel happy and I feel energized and I feel, you know, if I feel frustrated, you gonna feel it. And to carry that as an inspiration for people that's listening that may not have a voice, that, you know, I've grew up with cats, still to this day can't have a conversation. The most meanest, you know, aggressive individuals, but they can't even look you in the eye and express themselves the way they want to. So they resort to other things. And when I think about that, and I know that I have the tools necessary to communicate myself properly and effectively. I got to do it for them. I got to make records like Reincarnated. I got to make records like Man in the Garden. I have to because they feel that way, but they cannot project it. And when they hear somebody actually giving them affirmations, it allows them to speak more freely and be open because, again, I come from the same place they come from.
That's community service. That's social activism right there. Understanding that so many people, for various reasons, do not know how to articulate themselves, don't feel safe to articulate themselves, weren't given the tools to articulate their feelings, don't know how to, don't feel safe to say that me as an artist, part of what I want to do is focus on feelings, focus on making you feel something, focus on me making sure that I feel something when I'm performing, when I'm recording, right? Because if I don't feel it, how can you feel it? You have to focus on self. You can't expect someone to feel you as an artist and you don't even fucking feel yourself as an artist. You can't expect somebody to meet you in a space of vulnerability as an artist when you as an artist didn't choose or take that, you know, that step and that risk to be vulnerable yourself as an artist, right? And I think that to recognize like how so many people don't have the tools or don't know how to or don't feel safe to express themselves and to say as an artist like I do. And I'm going to keep doing what I do and putting it out there for the people, for myself, and also for those people, especially for those people who don't have those tools, don't know how to, because it does something for them. It helps them. It adds to their life. It improves their life. There's added value that I'm bringing to somebody's life because I put into words what they did not know how to say that they were feeling. Do you understand the level of communal love and community service that is? That's love. That's communal love. People be talking about, I love my hood, I love my block. That's literal, specific love. Show me how you love your community. Show me how you put in work. Show me how you contribute to the beauty of your community, the future of your community. To say, I'm going to give you art that hopefully helps you express yourself because I know you don't have those tools and I want you to have something to help you feel your feelings. Sweetheart, that is community service. That is somebody who is in tune with what they're here to do as an artist. That's amazing. That's love.
Kendrick, we might not see you outside again soon after Super Bowl. I know, of course, Kendrick, we might not see you outside again soon after Super Bowl. I know, of course, you have the GNX tour. Listen, I know you also don't love doing interviews, but we are grateful. We're so grateful for all the music and the moments that you've given us over 15 years. And in the last year, your presence and your focus, it is noted. So thank you. We really appreciate it. Thanks for taking our questions.
Thanks for fighting for hip hop, man.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks for fighting for hip hop.
It is really appreciated.
y'all.
And now,
Oh, I didn't hear that part before. Ebro said, thanks for fighting for hip hop. Word life.
it is noted. So thank you. We really appreciate it. Thanks for taking our
Thanks for
questions.
fighting for
And
hip hop, man.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks for fighting for hip hop.
it is really appreciated.
y'all.
And now,
It's deep.
we do have some
we
questions
have some kids that are gonna ask
from our
questions.
kid
But
reporter.
I got one more thing for you, Kendrick. Before we go to our friend here, Hayes Adler. What should people expect to see and understand about Sunday's performance?
Storytelling.
Storytelling.
That was
I
my
think
Kendrick impression.
I've always been very open about storytelling through all my catalog and my history of music, and I've always had a passion about bringing that on whatever stage I'm on. You know, whether it's a war tour or whether it's 500 people at Key Club. I've always had a form of that, so I like to always carry on that sense of, you know, make people listen, but also see and think a little.
I think this is going to be one of those performances where people are going to be digging up Easter eggs for
I mean,
years,
that's the Kendrick
years
thing,
to come.
you know.
Right?
Even when it's not an Easter egg, people gonna make one up, right, Ken? Hayes, this is Hayes Adler. He's got a question for you,
What's up,
Kendrick.
man?
I love that moment when he was talking about Easter eggs and Kendrick's just like laughing. You know, he be seeing those videos of people going like deep and being like, okay, this happened at the minute and 12-second mark. I think that's symbolic of January 12th. Like, I think he thinks it's so fucking cute. I'm like, it's real.
For
I mean,
years,
that's the Kendrick
years
thing,
to come,
you know.
right?
Even when it's not an Easter egg, people gonna make one up, right, Ken? Hayes, this is Hayes Adler.
But the thing is, his shit be deep though. So you be thinking that, oh, did he mean it like this? Does this mean? Yes, he did mean it like that. It really, the Easter egg, sometimes it's true. Like like the level of intention of the work that he does and his whole team and artistic collaborators. It's beautiful.
He's got a question for you,
What's up,
Kendrick.
man?
Hi, Kendrick.
What's going on?
How do you prepare?
I'm sorry. He seems so nervous. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Ooh, it's so pure. Like, he's just like. Oh my god, can you imagine being a fucking teenager or being a fan of Kendrick and getting to like be in the same room and ask a question, bitch? And like, I'm so nervous. I think it's so adorable.
Hi, Kendrick.
What's going on?
How do you prepare for such a big performance? Do you have a favorite way to stay healthy and active?
Yeah,
I love
I
kids.
do some laps, whether it's some sprints. If we talking about, let's go from, okay, on the physical level, I give you that. Maybe it's a 2-mile warm-up or a mile warm-up, maybe some push-ups, just to get the body movement. Sometimes you be out on that stage, man, and take you need some oil on your knees a little bit to get moving and get cranky. So physically, yeah, I'm just exercising the body, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of all that. And on a mental level, I'm usually playing some Isley Brothers just to calm not my nerves, but calm my excitement and just give it a balance, you know? So.
And once again, I love that when talking about how does he prepare for performances, there's a level of him talking about, I love that he talks about the physical as well as like the mental, you know. As a performer, you know, there's more than one thing you want to take care of and prepare.
That's my prep right before I go out.
Thank you, Hayes. Thank you so much. And now, Alvin Williams. How you doing, sir?
What's up, Kendrick?
What's up, man?
I'm a little with Big Brother and Big Sister New Orleans. What has mentorship meant to you during the course of your career? And if you could thank your mentors for believing in you, what would you say?
Oh man, mentorship has been everything. To be around individuals that experienced every little thing that you think that you're the first person to go through it with, it's a difficult task when you're a young individual because you're like, shit, you don't know what you're talking about. But as you progress and you be like, damn, he or she was right, you begin to understand life a little bit better and not be so judgmental to people that have been here before you, right? The greatest thing I would say a couple mentors that given me was like affirmation, to always give myself space to believe in who I am, even when I wasn't feeling it, right? You can accomplish so many small things or big things and you still can fall in a slump where you doubt yourself. And even though these mentors haven't seen the spaces and been in the places I've been in, it was always time to allow me to share exactly who I am or how they see me and what I'm capable to give to the world. And I think that goes a long way, you know, from people in the highest places and the lowest places. We all need them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alvin. And we have one more question from young Dylan.
What's up, Mr. Kendrick Lamar?
There you go. That's
Yes, sir. Yes,
an
sir.
artist right there.
Yes, sir. It's a truly honor to meet you. And my question I have for you is, what advice could you give to kids about not being like anyone else? And how could they stay authentic while pursuing your path?
You see that the line in his eyebrow? Watch out for him. Okay, he already came with the aesthetics. I'm curious about his art because I'm partial. I'm real partial to a line through the eyebrow. I used to do that shit all the time, so I just love it. I know he got some fly fucking shit. I'm curious about his art.
It's a great question. They said the number one thing people feel in a room, you know, over love and over fear is being authentic. And this my homegirl Ink actually, we was talking about this in the studio. She brought this in the studio, and I was like, damn, how many times I've been in a room where people felt you so intensely that it inspired them and inspired the person next to them and inspired the people in their household. So how to stay authentic? Was that the question? Or you have to believe in yourself and have to know that it's only one you. You are an amazing individual, unique. You a miracle. I wake up every day and I'm like, this shit is crazy. Not crazy from a standpoint of being a celebrity. Crazy, just life. It's just wild. When you really sit down and just think about it and just bug out on some wild it's wild. And to know that you are in this existence and in this world as one individual, it's only you, you have to know that you got to carry that authentic nature of allowing yourself to say, this is who I am.
Allowing yourself.
This is how people going to see me and also going to respect me, and it's going to inspire people to have truth, because when everyone's authentic, what comes out of that is true love. It's no boundaries. We don't have any courtship on judgment. We don't have any perception of being able to ridicule anyone, because...
Yeah, remember he talked about one of his diss tracks, he talked about, I hate bullies, right? He has that, he says that he hates bullies. It's interesting that he says this, you know, there's no room to ridicule anybody, which is what bullies do, right? When you're being authentic. That's interesting that he said that. You're right. Because if everybody's being themselves and we celebrate that, what are you going to mock? What are you going to mock? What's the need? What are you mocking? That's real. There's a lack of authenticity that allows for like all that kind of shit, bullying and mocking and everything. Deep.
You showing up as your true self, I'm showing up as my true self. And carrying that nature to take you places.
It's real.
Appreciate
His
you.
answers are just as thoughtful as in the music. It's ridiculous. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Kendrick.
Appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the great Kendrick Lamar, please. Thank you so much for your work and your dedication.
I
Thank
appreciate you.
Appreciate
Go out there
y'all.
and have fun on Sunday. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We can't wait to see Kendrick take the Super Bowl halftime show stage. While you wait, you can listen to his catalog in spatial audio.
Now, look, shortly after the performance, you'll be able to stream the full halftime show right there on Apple Music. You can listen, you can watch, you can sing, all the things Kendrick all the time on Apple Music. So one more time, for all of you, Kendrick Lamar, thank you for delivering as usual. The show on Sunday is going to be special and amazing, I'm positive. Thank you all so much.
Amen. I know that's right. That's just like, can we take photos? I know that's right. So yes. So child, what time is it? It is 3:05 a.m. Good night. Okay, I'm gonna upload this later. This is beautiful. If you've watched all the way to the end, oh my God, thank you. I love you. Drop a comment, like and fucking follow. Like and subscribe. Thank you.